Food is everything we are. It's an extension of nationalist feeling, ethnic feeling, your personal history, your province, your region, your tribe, your grandma. It's inseparable from those from the get go. These are not my words. These are the words of the most beloved television chef, Anthony Bourdain. He is no more with us, but his words still echo in my mind. It inspires me every day. I'm not sure how many of you have watched his shows on CNN, like Parts Unknown, No Reservations, Layover. The show took us on trips around the world. It was about learning different cultures, trying local and unusual cuisine along the way, and it also kind of ignited a certain sense of wanderlust to viewers, and it also bridged the culinary gap across the globe. I'm going to talk about two broad things. First is how Anthony Bourdain's word kind of inspired me, and secondly, the street food business in India. And it will be reflected in my journey, how I started Delhi Food Walks. I was born in a sleepy town in Bihar, Muzaffarpur, and my neighborhood was quite diverse. People from different communities like Marwari, Sindhi, Punjabi, local Bihari, we all used to live together. And living with different communities and experiencing their culture kind of imbibed values which helped me grow as a human being. My culinary habit was not just confined to my home Punjabi food. It was not only about rajma chawal. It was equally about the food of the neighbors. And if in older times, I'm talking about 1980s and 90s, uh, anything which was cooked in your neighbor's home was shared by other neighbors. And people used to wait कि अगर मतलब आपके घर में कुछ अच्छा खाना बना है तभी वो डिब्बा खाली उसमें वो स्पेशल डिश डाली जाएगी, उसके बाद आपके साथ शेयर की जाएगी। और आप वो डिब्बा तब तक रखेंगे जब आपके यहाँ कुछ अच्छा बनेगा, तब अपने नेबर से शेयर करेंगे। So I'm talking about 80s, 90s, and it used to happen. And I was grown up. I relished Sindhi curry as much as the fish cooked in the Bihari neighborhood in mustard. So and same with the Sohali cooked at Marwari neighborhood. And being a Punjabi, being born in Punjabi family and being a Punjabi, I equally loved rajma cooked by my mom. And eating out on street carts after school or going to popular food joints with my parents added another layer of culinary diversity to my palate. Those were the days of the formation of my culinary understanding. It made me understand that food is all about diversity. It's about connections. It's about identity. It's about memories, stories, and a lot more. After doing my 10th, I moved to Dehradun for my high school, and there we started eating the most popular street food out here, like momo, then chow mein, bun tikki, bun omelette. This all got added to my list of food explorations. For college, I moved to Delhi University, and there I lived in a college hostel. People from across the different states of India, we all were living in under one roof. And although the food in the hostel mess was kind of North Indian, but interaction and eating out with friends from other states made me learn about the food habits of other regions in India. Food really connects. It connected me to fellow hostlers at a deeper level. In my college days in Delhi, I started exploring the street food in the vicinity of the college campus. And in fact, it's an obvious choice for a college student. It's mostly because of two things. First is affordability, and second is accessibility. And I'm talking about early 2000s when eating out was a big thing. Just having a cup of coffee was a big thing. We used to get very limited amount of pocket money from our family, and उसमें से ही जो आपको अपना मेस का भी खर्च देना है और जो थोड़े बहुत पैसे बचे उससे ही गो एट आउट एंड ईट। एंड अभी आप जाएं नॉर्थ कैंपस में दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी, आई पास आउट फ्रॉम रामजस कॉलेज, हडसन लेन में जाएं, इट हैज completely changed. In one building you have three cafes, but I'm talking about early 2000s. There used to be only couple of restaurants, and उसमें भी लाइक जब कभी किसी का बर्थडे हो तब होता था कि चलो आज जाके रेस्टोरेंट में खाएंगे. नाउ students have, I think, lot of disposable income. They go out and eat in different cafes, but that time it was eating out was a kind of once in a blue moon. So the street food became my choice for culinary explorations out of necessity. It was not just as we see, it's a form of entertainment today. People go out and eat on the streets. कि अच्छा आज चलो आज यहाँ खाते हैं आज वहाँ ये खाते हैं वहाँ ये अच्छी चीज मिलती है. So now it has become a kind of entertainment. People go out and eat. But initially, the street food, the concept of street food started as a form of necessity. When I started exploring street food, I realized street food is not only about taste, or it's not only about affordability, it's also about the stories of the people. It's also about the food vendors. It's also about the culture of a place. It defines the identity of a community or a neighborhood. In the introduction, someone of you was talking about chole kulche. So that's how people associate Delhi's food with. If you have explored Delhi, Delhi's food scene is quite diverse. We have different neighborhoods. If you go to Majnuga Tila, it's a Tibetan colony, you get Tibetan food out there. Same with if you go to CR Park, it's a Bengali colony. You get the Bengali food out there. And same thing, like say in Delhi, also the food changes from one neighborhood to other neighborhood. So you can see the different layers of culinary diversity within the capital city of India, that's Delhi. That's the in fact the beauty of street food. And I figured out that these food stories need to be told to everyone. The stories about the food, about the vendors, and it led me to start Delhi Food Walks in 2011 with the sole objective of introducing the locals and the tourists to the diversity of street food culture in India. In 2018, I started my YouTube channel, and the idea was to explore the diverse food culture of India. And I've been to more than 25 states in India just to explore the food and culture. Now we have more than 1 million strong subscribers on YouTube and other social media platforms. And the quest to explore and share stories with people continues till date. I do multiple things to popularize street food via curating food festivals, generating content online around street food, and of course, our main forte, that's the food walks. Now, moving on to the second half of my talk, that is about the business of street food in India, or you can call it the street food culture in India. I'll start with the definition of street food, which was given by FAO, that's Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. The definition is the street foods are ready to eat foods and beverages prepared or sold by vendors or hawkers, especially on the streets. In the Indian context, street food can be described as foods and beverages that are intrinsic to a particular place, that is affordable and is prepared or assembled fresh. So they can't be coupled with fast foods. I will give you an example. If you've been to Old Delhi, the most popular street is Parathe Wali Gali. And although it looks like a proper restaurant, but if you enter that place, it's a street food because the food is cooked outside. It's an open area. Although you sit inside the restaurant and eat out there, and the parathas will be always kind of a local street food. We can't call it a fine dine kind of thing. If it's served in a normal eatery or dhaba, dhaba can be also, you can club it into a street food. So it's difficult. It's not the definition given by FAO can't be clubbed with the street food scene in India. In fact, in initial years, eating out was a taboo in India for many families. Food was mostly cooked at home, and on occasions when it wasn't, the male member of the family, only the male member of the family would get it packed from their favorite place. Eating out as a form of socializing and entertainment, it probably started in Kolkata. If you have been to Kolkata, you see there are still many cabins. और वहाँ पे केबिन में क्या होता है, they have a separate compartment for families because women they won't used to go out and eat on the streets. तो होता था कि फैमिली के जो मेल मेंबर हैं वो जाएंगे, वो खाना लेके आएंगे and then you eat out. In fact, the street food started that's the way. If you have been to say Old Delhi as well, Old Delhi में भी आप देखेंगे क्या है कि जो घर के बाहर लोग खड़े होते थे और अगर चाट वाला है तो वो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जाएगा और उनको घरों पे जाके चाट खिलाएगा, या फिर मेल मेंबर जाके लेके आते थे। तो कोलकाता में शुरुआत हुई इसकी कि पीपल स्टार्टेड गोइंग आउट, ईटिंग आउट, एंड इट बिकेम इट इंडिस्पेंसिबल पार्ट ऑफ द स्ट्रीट फूड कल्चर। ग्रेजुअली केबिन्स आए, उसके बाद फिर प्राइवेट सीटिंग एरियाज बन गए जहाँ पे हुआ कि फैमिलीज यहाँ बैठ के खाएंगी। बट ओवर द इयर्स अब ये चला गया है, यू वोंट सी इट हैज डिसअपियर्ड ऑल ओवर इंडिया, बिकॉज अब सब लोग जाके बाहर खाते हैं। ईटिंग आउट इन पब्लिक has become kind of a normal thing. So you can see like eating out, which started as a necessity for the local community, it transformed into a form of entertainment for the masses. In some of the cities, you have big hotspots for street food. Like say in Delhi, we have Old Delhi. In Kolkata, वहाँ पे बोलते हैं office पाड़ा, that's office street. Then they have Tireti Bazaar for Chinese street food. In Hyderabad, you have Charminar. I've been to Charminar around Ramzan time. वो भी पूरा एक स्ट्रीट फूड बाजार आप कह सकते हैं, या स्ट्रीट फूड हब है। या फिर पटना का मॉरेलो कॉम्प्लेक्स हो, बैंगलोर का वीवीपुरम हो। तो बहुत सारे इंडिया में स्ट्रीट फूड हब्स हैं, और जहाँ पे बहुत ही अलग अलग डाइवर्सिटी की स्ट्रीट फूड मिलती है। एंड आप लोग को ये जान के ताजुब भी होगा कि द स्ट्रीट फूड बिजनेस बहुत ही बड़े स्केल पे है। इफ यू हैव सीन दिस वीडियो ऑन scroll.in, जिसमें उन्होंने एक फिगर बताया था कि एक जो मोमो सेलर है न्यू दिल्ली में, उसके मंथली रेवेन्यू लैक्स में है। मतलब उन्होंने बताया कि इट वाज 4,32,000 रुपीज अ मंथ। इनफैक्ट आई वाज टॉकिंग टू समवन in Dehradun yesterday. यहाँ पे भी they are small, you can say it's a small scale industry, supplying momo to different vendors. एक वेंडर मोमो बनाता है और वो दूसरे वेंडर को बेचता है। और आप देखें अगर if it's like 20 rupees a plate, if a vendor is selling to other vendor and that vendor is selling it at 70 rupees, you can see the 50 rupees margin. In a day, if he sells 100 plates, how much he earns. So the scale of street food business is huge in India. And it's not the case with all the street food vendors. There are days when this range is low. The uncertainty of the business is always there. However, on the safer side, it can be said that big names in the scenario, they make decent earnings for their livelihood. But the strange thing is that there is not any exact figure of how many street food vendors exists in India. During the COVID time, when the first wave of COVID started, I did a lot of research to find out how many street food vendors exist in India. And I was quite surprised there was no official data कि इतने street food vendors हमारे इंडिया में हैं। मैंने अप्रोच किया बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को, नेस्वी को, नेशनल हॉकर्स फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया, एफएससीआई और भी जगहों पे। तो नेस्वी ने सिर्फ इतना बताया है कि जो स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स हैं, स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स में आपके बहुत ब्रॉड कैटेगरी है। उसमें आपके जो लोग कपड़े बेचते हैं पटरी पे या फिर और भी दुकानें लगाते हैं, दे ऑल क्लब्ड अंडर स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स। उन्होंने कहा कि उन स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स के पॉपुलेशन में से 30% इज स्ट्रीट फूड वेंडर्स। फिर मैंने मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हाउसिंग एंड अर्बन पॉवर्टी एलिवेशन के वेबसाइट पे देखा कि अराउंड 10 मिलियन स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स हैं इंडिया में, तो 30% अराउंड वुड बी अराउंड 3 मिलियन। सो अगर देखा जाए तो बहुत बड़े स्केल पे स्ट्रीट फूड इंडस्ट्री है। But abhi tak I have not seen any organization that works dedicatedly, you can say, for the upliftment, or you can say for the welfare, or उनके लिए specifically काम करती हो street food vendors के लिए। So but keeping in mind कि उनके साथ बहुत सारे challenges भी हैं street food sector की अगर बात करें, and it should be viewed from the perspective of all the stakeholders involved in the business. That's the customers, the food vendors, and the government authorities. And these challenges are structural in nature, and hence it needs to be addressed comprehensively. अगर आप इसको स्ट्रीट फूड वेंडर्स के पर्सपेक्टिव से देखें तो देखें कि बहुत सारे जो स्ट्रीट फूड वेंडर्स हैं, दे डोंट हैव एनी परमानेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन प्लेस, एंड दे आर पार्ट ऑफ द अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर। दे फेस द सेम प्रॉब्लम जो भी अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर के लोग फेस करते हैं, वो इनके साथ भी होता है। और उनको जगह जगह मूव करना होता है। कभी लोकल म्यूनिसिपल वाले बोलते हैं आप यहाँ नहीं खड़े हो सकते, आप वहां जाइए, तो उनके साथ ये प्रॉब्लम होती है। उसके बाद कभी कभी उनके सामान भी आप लोग सुनते होंगे, मैंने खुद अपनी आंखों से बहुत बार ओल्ड दिल्ली में देखा है, और उनके उनके साथ खड़ा भी हुआ हूं मैं। कभी उनके, अगर गोलगप्पे वाला खड़ा हुआ है, भीड़ की जगह पे खड़ा हो गया, तो आके उनको अपना सामान फेंक दिया। सो दिस हैपेंस with many street food vendors, and they have like uncertainty attached to it. Secondly, from the perspective of customers, like जब हम street पे खाने जाते हैं, so there are two things. First is hygiene and cleanliness. These are two major issues that deter us from trying the dishes for many food vendors, and it kinds of create a trust deficit, and which is manifested at all levels of street food discourse in India. However, FSSAI, जो कि फूड सेफ्टी एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया है, उन्होंने बहुत सारे कंस्ट्रक्टिव स्टेप्स लिए हैं टू ब्रिज दिस ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट, जिसमें उन्होंने एक प्रोजेक्ट क्लीन स्ट्रीट की शुरुआत की, जिसमें उन्होंने लोगों को ट्रेन किया हाइजीन और क्लीननेस के बारे में। और प्रोजेक्ट क्लीन स्ट्रीट के अंदर में उन्होंने फूड हब्स भी बनाए हैं, स्ट्रीट फूड हब्स। जैसे आप जाएंगे अमृतसर में, तो अमृतसर में जो गोल्डन टेम्पल का एरिया है वहाँ पे, या फिर गुजरात में अहमदाबाद में, उन्होंने क्लीन स्ट्रीट फूड हब का जगह जगह बनाया है। But if we talk about how these projects are implemented, these are not implemented in letter and spirit. Moreover, I think there's a need to create awareness and provide proper training to the street food vendors, so they cook the food in hygienic conditions and they follow the proper waste disposal thing. Although many of them, they have started doing it during the COVID times, they also realized it. If they have to continue in the business, they have to follow all these rules. So at the end, I would like to say India has a great potential to become a street food tourism destination, and it can attract people from all over the world. Like people can specifically just come to India and explore the street food. And the need is to organize the sector by addressing the structural issues, by lessening the widening trust deficit amongst all the stakeholders, and promote the street food hubs.